said, who has a master's in education policy from Harvard. Well, that's a giveaway. A master's in public education policy. No, not public. Education policy from Harvard. What a lethal combination. A degree in education from anywhere, and then from an elite college. It means the man has come to believe nonsense, true, total nonsense, and thinks that he is not only right, but he is speaking science, and that he knows better than all of history. When exactly did science discover that there are more than two sexes? Notice he doesn't even say genders, sexes. Are there more than two sexes in the animal kingdom? Or as he would put it, the rest of the animal kingdom, since we are only animals. Do dogs have 6 sexes? Are there 6 sexes of porcupines? I've never heard that addressed. The one thing I want us all to be aware of is that modern science obviously, that's a beauty, obviously recognizes that there are many more than 2 biological sexes. This is not even gender construct by society. Biological sexes. In fact, there are 6, which honestly surprised me too. So when he first heard this and it surprised him, was there anything in him that said, you have to be kidding? Are you out of your mind? Tallarico went on to explain that there are 6 really common biological sexes based on X and Y chromosomes. The usual is that there are double X chromosomes for females and XY for males, but Tallarico explains there are also single X, XXY, XYY, and triple XY. Triple X. Ooh, to be born with such a rating has to be a challenge. Making a total of 6 sexes. The point is that biologically speaking, scientifically speaking, sex is a spectrum. And oftentimes can be very ambiguous. Save Women's Sports President Beth Stelzer testified at the Texas committee hearing to speak in favor of the bill. She said that different so-called sexes Tallarico is referencing are actually disorders, not various other sexes. There are dimorphic double X, XY, she said, of sex. The other quote-unquote sexes mentioned are disorders of sexual development that are variants of double X or XY chromosomes. They are still disorders of male or female. That's the case. I wonder if this is at all an effective analogy. Is hearing on a spectrum? So, after all, clearly some people hear better than others, or some people hear less than others. Nevertheless, we have the term hearing and deaf. But maybe there isn't just hearing and deaf. Maybe there are 6 forms of hearing, except that we assume that if you hear very little, it's a disorder. Deafness is not on the spectrum of hearing, it's a disorder. Is that a fair analogy? On first hearing, or in my case, on first saying, it is. Harvard trained, a degree in nothingness, truly nothingness. I believe, I am certain, had the man watched every PragerU video and essentially memorized its contents and read the associated reading, he would be so much smarter, wiser than he is today. The time and money he wasted getting an education policy, whatever the hell that means, degree at Harvard. Fully open Texas and Florida are reporting fewer new cases per capita than Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York. States, including Texas and Florida, which have completely reopened, are reporting fewer coronavirus cases than Michigan, Pennsylvania, and New York, which have COVID-19 restrictions and mask mandates in place, according to CDC data. However, there are still restrictions in place for Pennsylvania, New York, and Michigan, which for the last few weeks has led the daily increase in COVID-19 cases. Remember when Governor Abbott of Texas got rid of these restrictions? It was called Neanderthal speaking, or Neanderthal thought by our Neanderthal president. Yes, indeed. Next. Tech moguls who made their fortunes from Facebook, Twitter, and Netflix have donated at least $7.5 million to groups tied to BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors, who has in turn publicly backed their policy goals, according to a new report. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz, and Patricia Ann Quillen, the wife of Netflix's billionaire CEO, all gave generously to Cullors' PAC and associated charities, according to the New York Post. Cullors, for her part, has strongly advocated for net neutrality, a policy that financially benefits online content providers such as Netflix and social media sites. Cullors, and the cozy relationship has even seen Facebook and Twitter censor perceived criticism of Cullors, with Facebook going so far as to block users from sharing a Daily Mail article detailing a controversy over her expensive real estate holdings. How do you like that? Facebook deleted a Daily Mail article because it was critical of one of the Marxist founders of, or a Marxist founder of, Black Lives Matter. It wasn't even under the rubric of misinformation. 1-8-Prager 776.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. President Biden has formally established a commission to consider adding seats to the Supreme Court. Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Stephen Breyer, both appointed by a Democratic president, have opposed it, but the left is angry. They don't like the Supreme Court's rulings, so they want to change its composition. It's called court packing, from when, in 1937, Democratic President Franklin Roosevelt tried and failed to do it. President Biden must have forgotten he once called the idea of expanding the Supreme Court a terrible, terrible mistake and boneheaded. And make no mistake, it is a terrible idea. Any politically driven effort to change the court's structure will only reinforce the perception that our judicial branch is guided by politics rather than by legal principle. Over time, a packed court would surely erode confidence in the rule of law, which is indispensable to governing a free people. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
I say this, I am looking at it very seriously, beyond seriously. From a legal standpoint, I don't want to really talk about it yet.
Beyond seriously. I'm looking at it beyond seriously. That was the 45th President of the United States being asked about will he run for the White House again for 2024. Put the mics on, gentlemen, and get the headphones on. I'm going to survey the massive team here. It's going to take at least 3 hours to get all the answers in. This is America First on the Salem Radio Network. What does that mean to you?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Police 3 times more hesitant, more reluctant to pull the trigger on a black suspect than a white suspect. New York Times even had an article in July of 2016. I urge you to Google it and read it, about a professor named Roland Fryer. He didn't write the article, but it was about his research. And he just knew that after he did his research, he was going to find the police were killing blacks just because they're black. That is to say, when the police feel threatened in a situation where they'd be threatened by a white suspect, they're more likely to kill the black suspect than the white suspect under similar circumstances. And he found just the opposite. He was shocked. Now, when you read the article, it does say he did say that he found the police were 18 to 20 times more likely to use non-deadly force against a black suspect. He didn't talk about why. My suspicion is because they didn't want to take it to DEFCON 1, so therefore they were using more non-lethal force so they wouldn't have to get to the point where they had to use deadly force. Capiche? And I urge you to get an article from the Washington Post, April 27, 2016. I remember the date because it's my birthday, April 27, 2016. Long article about research going back over decades showing cops more hesitant, more reluctant to pull the trigger on a black suspect than a white suspect. In particular, they talk about 3 professors from Washington State that have done this experiment over the years on 3 separate occasions, and on each occasion they found the same result. The cops were 3 times more reluctant to pull the trigger on a black suspect than on a white suspect. So everything that you're hearing, from Joe Biden to Obama to Maxine Waters to Beto O'Rourke to the whole slew of them, is a lie.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
Wasn't just Derek Chauvin. And I also don't want this.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Prager. I want to remind you of a very funny movie that's out called Church People. Not often that you think of a church movie as funny, but this one is. It's actually produced by My Pillow founder Mike Lindell, and it stars Thor Ramsey, Stephen Baldwin, Donald Faison, Joni Fatone, and special guest appearance from Mike Lindell. It's very funny. It's about, quote, America's youth pastor who tries some stuff at the church that doesn't quite work. And it's not only funny, but it is affirming of the gospel, and people will appreciate that. You can stream Church People at salemnow.com, where a lot of great movies. salemnow.com, the name of the movie again is Church People. I'm Dennis Prager. Talking about movies, the Academy Awards last night. We have to find out how many people watched them. I didn't watch a minute of it. I have the left has crushed my interest in contemporary films and Hollywood. It has crushed my interest in basketball, baseball, and football. It has, as you well know, it is the force that destroys everything it touches, because of my sort of equation about life. Affluence plus secularism equals boredom. Boredom leads to leftism. Or if you wish to continue the theorem language, yields. So you have A plus S, affluence plus secularism, equals B, yields L, leftism. People need a cause. The country was in generally excellent condition for a country. Countries are composed of deeply flawed creatures known as human beings. United States, the most successful attempt in the history of Earth, if not the only attempt to create a large, functioning, free country composed of every race, every race, every nationality, every ethnicity. And the left saw that it was succeeding and has worked to destroy it, to set people against one another, to build black dormitories and have black graduation ceremonies. And tragically, a lot of blacks have gone for that. Well, if whites commit suicide, why shouldn't blacks? Right? That's pretty much what it amounts to. Oh my God. I'm reading in True Pundit, the Masks Forever crowd is real. Yep. Former CDC official Dr. Tom Frieden, according to CNBC, said, "I think we do need a new culture of masks, at least any time not feeling well, and I think masks are in and handshakes out for the indefinite future." The CDC, does it produce fools? Or do fools gravitate to the CDC? I don't know the answer to that. It's a toughie. Though it's unclear when COVID-19 restrictions on normal gatherings and businesses will be lifted, Americans might need masks until 2022, Dr. Anthony Fauci said on CNN. That was in February, and Fauci said Americans should expect to wear masks until, quote, there is virtually no threat of contracting the virus. Senator Rand Paul criticized this. He's been very good, Senator Rand Paul. I need to acknowledge that. You never know where good things will come from. Handshakes are out. Masks are in. But as I was reading to you, the states that got rid of the masks are doing better than the states that still have them. So how does one explain that? Right? States which have completely reopened are reporting fewer coronavirus cases than states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, which have these restrictions and mask mandates. How does one explain that? The answer is one is not confronted with having to explain it. Everything the left recommends is wrong. The consistency is virtually 100%. It's an astonishing thing. You would think, the old broken clock is right twice a day. That's not accurate in this case. It's a broken clock that isn't even right twice a day. The human price paid, and I believe a medical price, psychological price paid for masks is astounding. To have your face covered in public? Do you understand how bad that is? I guess half the country doesn't understand how bad it is. They think, but you could get COVID. To which the answer is, if you're under 50, so what? Truth is, if you're under 100 and you're healthy, almost so what? They need a cause. The soulless need a cause. Why do religious people not flock to these mandates? Well, it's said because they believe in an afterlife. So they don't care if they'll die. I guess isn't that the upshot? I know a lot of religious people, they do care if they die. Yes, they believe. I believe in an afterlife. I have no desire to die. I want to leave my loved ones. I want to leave the world of books that I love and music that I love, the travel that I love, in addition to the people that I love. No, we don't want to die. But the purpose of life is much greater than biological survival. All right.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
That confirms what we all sort of suspect. America's not in a good place right now. We're just not. I mean, here's a headline you won't see anywhere. Chauvin found guilty. The system worked. No. The progressives don't like that. AOC doesn't approve of that. AOC doesn't approve of that at all. In fact, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez seems very disappointed that Derek Chauvin got the maximum amount of guilt that he could have possibly received at yesterday's trial.
This verdict is not justice. Frankly, I don't even think we call it full accountability because there are multiple officers that were there. It wasn't just Derek Chauvin. And I also don't want this moment to be framed as this system working, because it's not working. And that's what creates a lot of complexity in this moment.
That's a lot of complexity in that, young lady. A lot of complexity in this moment. Justice was not served. In fact, there wasn't even any accountability. And if that wasn't a goofy enough take for you, how about Nancy Pelosi? Nancy Pelosi actually looked up into the heavens and thanked George Floyd for dying.
Thank you, George Floyd.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is Brent Griffiths in his Business Insider newsletter this morning finally came up with a number of aid in the Biden stimulus package. The giveaway to New York City is $5.6 billion. How's that going to play in the Arizona, Georgia, New Hampshire Senate elections where Democrats are on their back foot?
It's not going to play well, especially when New York City is doing things like giving large amounts to people who are undocumented, illegal immigrants, and just using this aid money in ways that are not permitted by or that are not done by the federal government.
You can't work for ICE or CPB anymore. There's a memo out. You cannot use the term illegal immigrant. Now, I've always preferred undocumented, since it is more comprehensive as to what we're talking about. But they have outlawed the use of illegal alien. So you're kind of outlawed, Byron.
At a congressional appearance by Alejandro Mayorkas, the head of Homeland Security, he was asked repeatedly, now, is it illegal to cross the border other than at a port of entry? And he had to keep saying, yes, it is. It actually is. It is. So I don't see anything wrong with that phrase, even though undocumented has taken hold. Now, you're the lawyer here. I believe in all the statutes, the references to aliens and illegal aliens.
Yes, it is. But you're not woke, Byron. I don't know if we're going to have to send you to woke awareness camp. Is there a summer camp for journalists to wake you up? Because you're not woke.
Hey. Hi, everybody. I beg of you not to wear masks outdoors. Science is with you. People ask what they can do. It's one of the most common. The two most common questions I get after speeches are, am I pessimistic or optimistic? And what can we do? We don't have a microphone like you do. The first answer I get, my answer to the first question has always been pessimism and optimism are useless. They both lead to inactivity. The pessimist says things are going to turn out lousy. Why should I bother? And the optimist says things will turn out fine. Why should I bother? Right? Not necessarily lead to that, but it certainly is logical. If you're certain, the pendulum will swing back. I hear so many of these lines. The pendulum will swing back? When does the left destroy anything and the pendulum swing back? Did it swing back in Russia? Right? Communism collapsed in the 1980s. What's been since then? It's a renaissance of freedom? When something is destroyed, it's destroyed. You destroy a generation into thinking that Shakespeare was white and therefore not worthy of being read. So what? Their children will say, oh, I heard there was a play called Macbeth. I should read it. So I don't quite understand. I take it back. I do understand. People don't want to confront the darkness of what is happening. And so I'm not a pessimist and I'm not an optimist. Those are not the questions I ask me. I ask me, what should I do? So here's something you should do. Don't wear a mask outdoors. That's unbelievably simple. It's not easy to do because you may get dirty looks. So you have to ask yourself, what do I believe? Do I believe that this idiocy of wearing masks outdoors I should participate in because I don't want a dirty look? Or should I do what is right? Should I let the totalitarians of California, Pennsylvania, New York, etc., should I let them dictate my life with absurdity and with a soul-crushing thing like masks on children? Or not? Okay, there you go. There's something you can do right now. The number of studies with regard to masks uselessness is much greater than the usefulness outdoors. Even the New York Times had an article Do we still need to keep wearing masks outdoors? Science shows that the risk of viral transmission outside is very low. Oh, really? Some of us have been saying that since last April. A growing body of research shows that transmission of COVID-19 is far less likely outdoors than inside, and the risk will get even lower as more people get vaccinated and cases continue to decline. Many states have yet to lift strict outdoor mandates. Then my favorite line in the article. In Massachusetts, for instance, outdoor masking is required at all times, even when nobody else is around. Now, why is that one of my favorite lines? Massachusetts is a state of colossal stupidity. It's stupid because it's so liberal. It's stupid because it's so well educated. The greater the proportion of universities to population, the more stupid the state is. I mean stupid. I don't only mean wrong, destructive, and disingenuous. I mean just stupid. Massachusetts, there you go. The product of all your universities is idiocy. You have to really, another thing you can do aside from not wearing a mask outdoors is take your kids out of schools that teach that there are 6 sexes or that the U.S. was founded in 1619. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Produce a child who has contempt for you and your country. ReliefFactor.com, 800-500-8384. I am proud to be sponsor. No, they're the sponsor. I am proud to be sponsored by Relief Factor. Because the product works. Almost everybody I know, everybody I know who has joint or muscle pain takes it. They have a very interesting statement, and that is, you will know in 3 weeks if it works. They don't lead you on. Doesn't work in 3 weeks, probably won't work for you. So they have a special price for 3 weeks, $20, $19.95 plus shipping to be precise. And doesn't work, cancel the order. ReliefFactor.com, 800-500-8384.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. President Biden has formally established a commission to consider adding seats to the Supreme Court. Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Stephen Breyer, both appointed by a Democratic president, have opposed it, but the left is angry. They don't like the Supreme Court's rulings, so they want to change its composition. It's called court packing, from when, in 1937, Democratic President Franklin Roosevelt tried and failed to do it. President Biden must have forgotten he once called the idea of expanding the Supreme Court a terrible, terrible mistake and boneheaded. And make no mistake, it is a terrible idea. Any politically driven effort to change the court structure will only reinforce the perception that our judicial branch is guided by politics rather than by legal principle. Over time, a packed court would surely erode confidence in the rule of law, which is indispensable to governing a free people. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
I guess we're taking a break from knife fights and China in some way, but it's not a good break. What is going on with the Biden tax plan?
I got to tell you, this is about the most moronic thing I have seen in my entire career. I have never seen such an aggressive, I think you got to go back to, the days of the Revolutionary War and the British tyranny over our 13 colonies to find anything as ludicrous and onerous as this tax plan, Seb. my stomach turned when I saw it. You know, we knew he was a socialist. We knew he would try things like this, but you know, there's still a part of you. It's like, okay, well, you know, he's got to really want the best thing for America, right? And this is not the best thing for America. This is disastrous for America.
So break it down for us. What is this going? What is it proposing, and what will it actually result in?
Okay, so basically, he's looking at anywhere from 39% and change to 43% on capital gains taxes. So this means any money that you invest, if you have, a business, for example, you're a small business owner, or suppose you invest in the stock market because you're saving up for your retirement, instead of it getting taxed at the current 20% level, it's going to be taxed at double that. Now, the administration would say, oh, don't worry, it's only going to affect people that have more than $1 million. Well, look, there's a lot of small business owners that have been toiling away for 30 years that are getting ready to sell their business. Their business is going to be valued at more than $1 million, so that's going to be a problem.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
I can't believe this. I'm reading a piece here. Just came out. And it's, okay. You'll react with your own adjectives. Beginning Monday, April 26th. That's today. Michigan's face mask mandate will also apply to children between the ages of 2 and 4. Wow. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services extended the existing COVID-19 health order and added the new requirement. Wow. Dr. Matthew Hornick with Pediatric Care Corner in West Bloomfield Township said even from the fall, that's not the fall of man, the fall as in autumn, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has said kids 2 and older should be wearing masks to begin with. So, you know, this isn't an out of the blue, left field kind of thing that's being done now. Whoa. The data recently has shown an increase in children. Oh. I'd like to see the increase. How many children have died of this? Fewer than the flu, you know. Well, I have to say, another victim of the past year has been my respect for the medical profession. As I always make clear, doctors have saved my life. As a general rule, they're sophisticated plumbers of the body. Their knowledge is to be deeply respected. I am all for high salaries for doctors. It's one of the reasons I don't believe in single payer. I want doctors to make a lot of money, but I have zero interest in their collective advice. Zero. I assume they're wrong. As I do most experts. They're not wrong in their expertise. They're wrong in their advice. There's a very big difference. If I want to know how mitochondria work, I don't have an answer nearly as good as that of a doctor. There is expertise. I don't want an amateur operating on me if I need surgery. That's clear. But I don't want their advice on what the public should do, or even what I should do often. The giveaway to me was when they began lying about secondhand smoke. I raised that issue then often. People would call up. Some of you may recall this. Dennis, I want you to know I agree with you 99.8% of the time. And then I would say, so there's the 0.2% secondhand smoke? And frequently it was. But I knew it was an important issue because when scientists start to lie because they think they have a good cause, namely stopping people from smoking, then we have big problems. And now it is metastasized into general foolishness. 2 to 4-year-olds should wear masks at all times outside of their house. A year and a few months after this virus began in the United States, 2 to 4-year-olds. Wow. Quite Michigan. Amazing. People elect people who ruin their lives. It's astonishing. Even forgetting COVID. What the Democrats have done to black life in the United States, to interracial life in the United States. An utterly destructive force. And now it's really on steroids. Cut carbon emissions by half in 10 years. Build nuclear plants, then I'll know you're serious. But they're not serious. The issue is transforming the economy, not helping the environment. If the United States went completely carbon-free tomorrow, it would have minimal impact on the amount of carbon in the atmosphere. It's the unspoken truth of all of this. Okay, let's see what you folks have to say. Good ones. Let's see, where was that? Let's give this a try. Eureka, California. Charles, hello.
Dennis, I love your show for many years, and I wish there were 100 guys out on the radio like you.
Thank you.
You know, hearing what you're saying makes me think. Take comfort in the fact that the unwise don't reproduce biologically very often or very successfully. So, long term, that always makes me warm at night.
I've thought about that actually. That there is a silver lining here. The people who are anti-marriage and anti all of the values that have made America and the Western civilization possible don't have children. Well said, my friend. I thank you. We'll return in a moment. 1-8 776. I'm Dennis Prager.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
You guys call it literally a war on small business. Lay it out for us about what small business owners are up against and what Job Creators Network is doing about it.
Yeah, well, you laid it out just great there, Mike. I mean, when you think about the last year with the pandemic, if you are Amazon or Uber Eats or DoorDash, you've done fantastic. But if you're a mom and pop restaurant, if you're a dry cleaner or pizza parlor, hairdresser, you've been really hurt. And if you're still around, you've been really hurt. Or maybe you're gone and you're thinking, how do I start over?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
I've got a national interest story here. 150,000 troops. I thought it was 60 to 80,000. Russia now has on the Ukrainian border, and they have mobilized a bomber and fighter fleet there. All signs point to another invasion of Ukraine beyond what Russia has already done. What do you think of the situation?
Well, a couple days ago in a hearing, I asked the commander of European Command what he rated as the likelihood of Russian invasion. And he said medium to low. But I have to tell you, I disagree with that assessment based on the open source imagery and reporting that I'm seeing, some of which you reference. This is the largest buildup since 2014, I believe. And if the Russians decide to invade, their current posture would only give us hours notice at a max. So questions we need to be asking the administration: how frequently are we communicating with the Ukrainians? If you start to add all these things up, whether it's the way the CCP lectured us in Alaska about racial politics in America, added to the unconditional surrender in Afghanistan, added to the continued Chinese buildup and harassment of Taiwan, all of these things start to equate to a climate of weakness, which our adversaries interpret as a climate of opportunity, a period of opportunity for them to make some incredible gains. And so we have to reestablish some credible deterrence ASAP. And perhaps the biggest thing we can do in Ukraine specifically is to get the javelins in play. As part of the sale of javelins, Ukraine had to store them in their western regions. We should move them to the front. The Biden administration should be rushing to push through additional sales ASAP, because this could quickly get out of hand.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
Do you ever get the idea?
Hi, everybody. Another bad aspect of the masking of little children is that you are frightening them unnecessarily. What the left has done to generations of kids now should be listed. I will list it. It's told girls for 50 years now that marriage is not important. Men are not important to them. Career is everything. And they have the same sexual nature as men. So casual sex is absolutely no different for them than for men. And all of that has produced a very happy generation of well-educated women, as you know. It has scared children into believing they have no future. Now these children are already in their 40s because of the existential threat of global warming, a spectacular lie. Not that the lie isn't that the earth is warming. It's that it's an existential threat. That they have to wear masks, or they might kill someone or die themselves when they're 2 years old. Telling black kids that whites hate them. Think of what the left has done to kids. You have no heroes of the past. You live in a cesspool called the United States of America. Had somebody written a book, How to Damage Children, they could not have written anything more precise than what the left has done to children. I've just delineated a few examples for you. You have a crappy past, you have a death-filled present, and existential death future. If you're not white male, you're a victim. If you are a white male, you're a scumbag. Have I overstated it in any way, shape, or form? No, I haven't. That's called child abuse. We continue.
Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Hey, Larry. Thank you for having me on. I'm doing okay, I guess, under the circumstances since I'm packing as we speak. I've lived in Minneapolis since 1999, love the city, lots to do, lots to offer, great opportunity, but I'm moving. And I want to tell you, I can't hardly even get a U-Haul truck to get out of the city. The biggest truck I can get is a 15-footer because everybody is leaving. And they've been doing this for the last year, but this Marxist, socialist mayor that we have here in Minneapolis and the governor, they can't put the genie back in the bottle. They let the 3rd precinct burn. That's my precinct. I was up during the nights and protecting my neighborhood, and it's just an atrocity what they've done to this city. It was a beautiful, great city, lots of opportunity, but it's time for it to go, and I'm moving to Bella Vista, Arkansas, and I've got to go.
Rick, my next question was going to be, are people leaving the city or are people leaving the state?
Well, I know that they're leaving the city and moving to the rural areas.
Mm-hmm.
I know that for sure. That's what I was shared with today by I won't mention the name of the truck and moving truck,
right.
But I can only say that I know that they're moving out of the city. I don't know that they're moving out of the state for sure.
Well, Rick, thank you so much for the call. I really appreciate that. Please stay in touch with us and let us know about your progress.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
In some way, but it's not a good break. What is going on with the Biden tax plan?
I got to tell you, this is about the most moronic thing I have seen in my entire career. I have never seen such an aggressive. I mean, I think you got to go back to, the days of the Revolutionary War and the British tyranny over our 13 colonies to find anything as ludicrous and onerous as this tax plan, Seb. My stomach turned when I saw it. You know, we knew he was a socialist. We knew he would try things like this.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
The conservative commentary space and the conservative activist space is not giving an inch when it has come to this nonsense of what happened in Ohio. It's really, really good. Because what would have happened 5 years ago is we would have had some, Mitt Romney-style press release. Now, while the officer very well might have been justified, this is just another example of a situation gone wrong, of systemic structural racism, and only corporate tax cuts and mass immigration, drug legalization is the way to do this. Like some sort of weird, bizarre corporate Republican approach to this. Now, every single conservative commentator that I've seen has said, you know what? This is a knife fight. The police officer tried to break it up. He tried to intervene peacefully, and he saved a young black girl's life. Here's this guy in MSNBC, Jason Johnson. This is a guy who's teaching your children, by the way. He's a professor at Morgan State University. He has now earned a position on our professor watch list. Play cut 97.
Nakia Bryant, a 16-year-old girl in Columbus, Ohio, called the police for help. An officer was on the scene, and in 22 seconds, he shot her dead. An honor roll student who's making TikTok videos on makeup and hair. This hasn't stopped. And still, 40 minutes after that ruling, a 16-year-old girl can be shot in front of her house. So no, I'm not hopeful. Because unless there is wholesale change, abolishment of this institution that continues to fail tax-paying black people in this country, everything else is just fanciful thinking.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
You guys call it literally a war on small business. Lay it out for us about what small business owners are up against and what Job Creators Network is doing about it.
Yeah, well, you laid it out just great there, Mike. I mean, when you think about the last year with the pandemic, if you are Amazon or Uber Eats or DoorDash, you've done fantastic. But if you're a mom and pop restaurant, if you're a dry cleaner or pizza parlor, hairdresser, you've been really hurt. And if you're still around, you've been really hurt. Or maybe you're gone and you're thinking, how do I start over?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
I've got a national interest story here. 150,000 troops. I thought it was 60 to 80,000. Russia now has on the Ukrainian border, and they have mobilized a bomber and fighter fleet there. All signs point to another invasion of Ukraine beyond what Russia has already done. What do you think of the situation?
Well, a couple days ago in a hearing, I asked the commander of European Command what he rated as the likelihood of Russian invasion. And he said medium to low. But I have to tell you, I disagree with that assessment based on the open source imagery and reporting that I'm seeing, some of which you reference. This is the largest buildup since 2014, I believe. And if the Russians decide to invade, their current posture would only give us hours notice at a max. So questions we need to be asking the administration: how frequently are we communicating with the Ukrainians? If you start to add all these things up, whether it's the way the CCP lectured us in Alaska about racial politics in America, added to the unconditional surrender in Afghanistan, added to the
Well, hello, and a good weekend I hope you had. That didn't work out. A good weekend I hope you had. Yeah. Incorrect English, I hope you had a good weekend. I want to ask you a question, my dear listener. But that doesn't imply I only have one listener. It just was done in order to address you individually. Just because if I had one listener, I would be doing something else for a living. I'm aware of that. Now, I want to ask you a question. They just came out with this data, and how many, for every 27 million airline travelers, how many do you think got COVID from another passenger or crew member? One out of how many travelers? Take a guess, Triple G. 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 100,000, 1 out of 1,000,000, 1 out of 5 million, 1 out of 10. 1 out of 1,000,000. Please press the buzzer for the wrong answer. We are awaiting the wrong answer buzzer. No. That's, yeah. What happened to that one? I can do it. Look, I'll do it. All right, it's done. 1 out of every 27 million travelers. And you know, people, some of you might be scared to travel, scared to go on an airplane. This is from airlineratings.com. New research uncovers just 44 cases of in-flight COVID-19 transmission. Of course, I assume that the 44 didn't, none of the 44 died. With just 44, this is from the article. With just 44 published cases of potential in-flight COVID-19 transmission among 1.2 billion travelers, the risk of contracting the virus on board a plane appears to be in the same category as being struck by lightning. Wow. Even if 90% of the cases were unreported, it would still be 1 for every 2.7 million travelers. There have been many depressing aspects of the last year. I think the number of Americans who have been frightened by the media and by the scientific community is on the top 3. Land of the free and the home of the brave. The amount of bravery and freedom we have lost in the last generations is shall we understate the case by saying worthy of concern. All right, I wanted to bring that to your attention. Here's another moment in American history. University of California, California State University Systems announced COVID-19 vaccine requirement for fall 2021 semester. Both the California State University and the University of California Systems announced that all students, faculty, and staff will be required to be vaccinated against COVID-19 if they wish to return to class and access university facilities beginning the fall semester later this year. What gives them the right to do this? I assume a private company, a private university could do this, but how does the University of California get away with this? Wonder if they'll still require masks, by the way. Then you'll truly know that the irrational govern the universities. I mean, I assume you know that now, but that should be further proof. What if you had COVID and you have the antibodies? Why do you have to take a vaccine? Why do you have to get a vaccine? By the way, not only do I not understand its legality for the reasons, because it's public, I don't understand its legality. It's not FDA approved. I don't know how many Americans know that. It's not FDA approved. It's amazing. The people who've called me and who go on the internet to knock hydroxychloroquine, which has been proven for half a century as unbelievably safe. Well, that hasn't been tested yet. It's been tested for 50 years. But the vaccine truly hasn't been tested yet. Oh, take the vaccine. I pray it is completely safe and completely effective. And I do not claim that it is not safe, and I do not claim that it is not effective. I do claim that there is something wrong in mandating it. If you believe it works, why do you care if I got vaccinated? Or for that matter, if I get COVID? Isn't the point of a vaccine to protect you? If you're vaccinated, why do you care if I am? Why do you care if I'm infected with the virus? Do you believe it works, or do you not believe it works? Well, it works 97% of the time. Oh, I see. This is the new argument. Well, it doesn't always work. What always works? Seatbelts don't always work. It's a terrible thing to tell young people that they have to get a vaccine for something that doesn't affect them for all intents and purposes. It borders on evil. How do you know you're not messing with their future? I don't know that you are, but how do you know you're not? Especially those who already have antibodies to it. Why would you mandate that they have it? If you're so paranoid, which all the well-educated are, they're the sickest of our population, morally, psychologically, and intellectually. Why don't you have an alternative? That every day you come to the campus, you have to be tested for COVID. Why isn't there an option? Either get vaccinated, have antibodies, or be tested every day you come to the campus. Have to be vaccinated? I don't know what I would tell my kid. Obviously, there's an answer to this for enough people to stop attending. Many good reasons to stop attending the University of California. This is another one of them. The biggest reason to stop attending the University of California is it is a university. What do you think of that? I'm curious. You think it's fair? You think it's a good thing? Very curious. I'm going to free up some lines. Don't be offended if I let you go. I am truly curious with regard to. It's not with regards, by the way. With regard to the issue of the college mandating it. Would you send your kid there? Kids should not have to take it. I don't mean little kids. I mean big kids. Sickness has overtaken this country. Plus an arrogance, the likes of which we have never seen in the United States. I can tell you what to do with your body. I thought, hey, wasn't the whole defense of abortion? You can do what you want with your own body? Oh, but not anymore. You will get a vaccine that is not FDA approved, or you cannot function in society.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
And I said a couple days ago, and I'll double down on it, that basically the argument that BLM was making is, how dare you break up our knife fights? How dare you get in the way of a very normal thing that happens in our communities? And I made light of it then, and it's kind of become right into the mainstream of conservative commentary, thankfully. I've actually been very happy. I have to say, one thing that I've been happy about the last 24 hours, I watch a lot of other snippets of shows, I read a lot of things, is how unified the conservative commentary space has been on this Columbus shooting. This would not have happened 5 years ago.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
Courtney Ann Taylor slammed the Gwinnett County Board of Educators at a meeting April 15th. She's fed up. This is cut 11. This is the Georgia mom going off on the Board of Ed in Gwinnett County, Georgia.
Every month I come here and I hear the same thing: social emotional health. If you truly mean that, you would end the mask requirement tonight. Tonight. This is not March 2020 anymore. We have 3 vaccines. Every adult in the state of Georgia that wants that vaccine is eligible to get it right now, and every one of us knows that young children are not affected by this virus. They're not, and that's a blessing. But as the adults, what have we done with that blessing? We've shoved it to the side and we've said, we don't care. You're still going to wear a mask on your face every day, 5- and 6-year-olds. You still can't play together on the playground like normal children, 7- and 8-year-olds. We don't care. We're still going to force you to carry a burden that was never yours to carry. Shame on us. My 6-year-old looks at me every month before I come here and she says, are you going to tell them tonight? Tell them I don't want to wear this anymore. And I say, baby, it's not time to fight that battle yet. I try to explain that there's so many things. But it's April 15th, 2021, and it's time. Take these masks off of my child.
Wow, that's what freedom sounds like. And I like it a lot. Now, I wear my mask. I got my vaccine. My family has gotten vaccinated. But we get to decide what we do as Americans. We get to make those choices, don't we?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.